This is Asake Online. Welcome to Agriculture on Site. Farming is the future. The future is farming. No farmers, no future. One of the growing sectors in agriculture is horticulture farming. This is actually the growing of your vegetables, your fruits, and up to flowers. My guest today is a young farmer, and a successful one at that. In 2020, he was named the best fruit and vegetable farmer of the year by Cite. And in the same year, he was also recognized as the best national young farmer by the Ministry of Agriculture, as well as Empower Bank and Priority Projects. Mr. Prosper Chikwara, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
You're a horticulture farmer.
Yes.
Why horticulture?
I find it one of the lucrative sectors within agriculture, which can actually give you a better income within a short space of time if I'm to compare to other sectors within agriculture.
And what kind of type of horticulture are you into?
At the moment, we are into growing cucurbits, which are our watermelon, our butternuts, and our cucumbers, and also brassicas, which includes our leafy greens, mostly kale, cabbages, spinach, and lettuces, and also a bit of onions, beetroots, and also peppers, sweet peppers.
Maybe just share with me a background and really experience in farming.
Okay. Prosper Chikwara is a young professional farmer who's optimistic and optimistic in betterment of the livelihoods of the people through agriculture and the involvement of the right technologies. I started this business in 2015, and I haven't stopped even one day not doing what I love to do, which is agriculture. There's nothing for me which is more satisfying than knowing that I'm producing for some families within the city or some families within the country. I started with the potato project, and that project, I thought that once I grow and I sell, I will have all the money in the world. Which I did not have, which was not a successful project at the end of the day because I didn't have a lot of information on what I was supposed to have been done on that project. So I lost, but I didn't stop. I then, with the few money that I had got from that project, I went in, I did some small other projects, and which built me other big projects, and I kept on going until where I am today. It hasn't been easy, to be honest, and with farming, you have to be present. Like me, I stay at the farm. It's not an easy decision for a young man like me comparing with other young men in the city. They want to be in the city. Me, I said, no, I would rather come and stay at the farm and do my business here at the farm. And me being present, it has actually a lot of benefits, me being present within these projects.
Interestingly, you are working in a family farm.
Yes.
Maybe I'm also keen to know, like, yes, you started growing potatoes, like how big is this farm? And after you did grow potatoes and saying that there was failure, what did you learn? Maybe
okay.
Let's take from there, yeah.
This family farm is around nearly 40 hectares, and the one that we are currently irrigating is nearly 5 hectares. And the time when I started, we had started with just an acre of potatoes. And within that acre, we only managed to sell less than 30 pockets of good potatoes, and most of them, they were very small. I mean to say, We ate potatoes here. My family and I and the team that we had, we ate a lot of potatoes that time because most of them, they were not marketable. And what I learned is that capital, when it comes to this business, is not just money, land, water, irrigation. It's also the knowledge, the information. Do you have the right information about what you need to do? So that's one thing that I learned. In starting another project, I had to get all the necessary information before I started on that other project. And I noticed that by so doing, I managed to be successful with my other projects that I did after that, potato project of mine.
Did you actually offer any training really on farming, or you learned as you
to be honest,
you went by?
I didn't even go to an agricultural school, but it was once my dream to be maybe an agronomist, to be a plant doctor, whatsoever. But the time when I came to stay here, I started loving to connect with the land. I started researching internet, or through internet. I started researching through other farmers that I met online. They started telling me a lot of information that was very helpful. I started getting information from the internet that was very helpful. And with that information implemented on the ground, it led to many good successful stories.
So would you say, that initial failure, did it prepare you really for the success that we have achieved now?
Yes, to be honest, I would say failure, it has actually manufactured me for even worse than what I went through that time. Because since 2015 up to now, I'll be very honest with you, it hasn't been successful stories after successful stories. There's been a chain of good stories and also a chain of bad stories within this business. We have been hit by a hailstorm sometime, natural disasters, some diseases. We have lost crops to a lot of things. It hasn't been easy, but the first failure, I think it prepared me for all these other failures that we're meeting, or all these other challenges that we're meeting as we are heading to our success.
Now you grow a whole variety of vegetables, and maybe you could actually share with us how do you go about it, and what really is actually defined, your way of farming, particularly vegetables. I would, for one, I would never thought, growing your cabbage is something that would involve, quite a lot. Maybe tell us more about that.
To be honest, I would love to say, I can safely say, our production here, our vegetables here are one of the best vegetables. There are some farmers, yes, that are really doing it, that are killing it out there. I would really like to say, on some of productions, we are actually one of those farmers here because of how we are doing our farming. We are almost aligning ourselves with what we call precision farming. Precision farming, we actually involve agronomists from different seed houses. They also come here and help us on how to keep our soils healthy. So number one on this product, on vegetable production, is to know your soils. Are your soils healthy enough to produce what you are looking for? Are your soils good enough to produce what you are looking for? If they are, then it's good. Number two, it's seed selection. Since everyone knows that we are living in the era of climate change, and climate change has got negative effects, especially on the primary production. So it is very important for one to know which type of varieties when it comes to seed to grow because of what is going on in terms of the climate. we have long dry spells, we have heat waves. So there are some varieties in terms of seeds that can withstand these conditions. So it's important for one to know which varieties to get for a specific production. So here, this is what we do. We concentrate more on our seed selection. Is it good for what we're looking for? Also, number 3, we also consider the market. What is the market looking for? We are working with the market. The market is the one that is telling us this is what we'll be looking for at this given time. This is what we'll be needing at this given time. With that guideline, that's what we are using to grow here at this farm.
That's interesting, because you talk now, your farming is becoming like a precision, art in any way. Or, can you call it that you are applying scientific really methods to it? How important is it for a farmer, in fact, to have background knowledge in farming techniques, as well as to tap into the expertise in terms of like getting extension officers and other specialists advising them on farming?
Yes, this is very fundamental, because it's supposed to be part of the tools box, if I'm to say it like that. Why? Because if you're a farmer like me who stays at the farm, there are some problems that come at you, come to you when you are not even, problems come when you are not prepared, and there is need of action. If you know what you have to do at that time, because you have got the knowledge and the expertise, damage will be less or even zero. So it is important for farmers to have this, let me say, all the information or all the knowledge or intelligence on whatever they want to achieve. Is it a production? Is it the market? Is it whatever intelligence? Is it seed intelligence? It is important for a farmer to have that.
One critical issue, in growing vegetables, for example, is the issue of pests and diseases. Tell us, how do you handle that in your operation?
On pest management, here what we are doing, we do what we do, scouting. We scout for pests and diseases. Every morning or every 2 days, suppose we have a production, we get in our fields, we look for pests and diseases. If we find a problem, that's when we act upon that problem. Is it a disease? Is it a pest that we need to eradicate? And we don't do that on our own. We are working aside with our agronomists from the seed houses that we would have planted the production from. Is it Cite? Is it Stackyris? Is it even agronomists from chemical suppliers, agriculture? They come and help us with these decisions here.
You're also irrigating. Maybe could you just tell us about the irrigation system that you have here?
Yeah, we're using drip irrigation, one of the best irrigations in the world. Let me say it saves up to 30% of the water. This irrigation gives water where it is needed. It doesn't water where water is not needed. It only gives water to the plant where it is needed, where the water is needed. And this irrigation, it can actually improve yields. It can actually improve even the quality of the production. It also improves the quality of the plant itself. So the plant, if it's healthier, it becomes easier to even control for pests, diseases, and also to maintain it. Yes.
And how have you incorporated like crop rotation in your farming system?
Crop rotation is very important. Here, what we're doing, we have a various number of crops that we grow, so that we keep our soils healthy. Like I said from the beginning, we grow brassicas, cucurbits, legumes, and also some bit of oilseeds. With all these, where every year we rotate per field depending on how our calendar is looking like. But rotation is something that we are promoting here at this farm. It's something that we are doing.
Farming, presents, it has what I'd call it a huge environmental, a footprint. Like what are you doing, in your farm to actually promote environmental, sustainability?
Okay. Environmental stability, like I said, we're into precision farming. And we're trying to give what is necessary. We're not giving more when we are talking about precision farming. Is it fertilizers? Most of our soils in Zimbabwe, they are now almost dead because of inadequate uses of fertilizers. So with precision farming, you are putting what is necessary, what is needed by the soil and also by the plant, not more. So the soil is either going to stay healthier for a long time, if we were to compare it to the one that is not being guided by a result, number one. Number two, even on our irrigation now, we have fish in our water reservoirs. And we put fish there because we want to add value to our water in terms of the nutrition of the water, and also to use less fertilizers in our crops. So the water with the fish excretes is the one that we're using for irrigation, and the compost from the dark soil from the field is that's the one that we use to feed the fish with. Then the fish excretes, we use the water to irrigate our crops here.
Right, and I'm keen there to also understand, given that you are saying you're growing all these crops, how does this even promote biodiversity, like in your farm? I mentioned this and that, like farming, the conventional, it has been farmers long back, like in your grandmother's farm, you'd find that there will be a lot of different crops growing, the same patch of land.
Yeah.
But increasingly, farmers have gone into monocropping, which is, and that is not as sustainable. Are you looking at any biodiversity, really enhancing biodiversity in your farm?
Yes, biodiversity. Yes, I'm looking into enhancing it. It's important to have more of different species of vegetables, of animals. It's more like different sectors within the agriculture. One, two, it is also of different incomes. So you'd realize that there are some productions that would have a better income than others. So by having more of different productions, it is important because it can actually balance you in terms of income.
Yeah. So what kind of a business model do you actually have?
Yeah, at the moment, what we are using, we are not just only growing one production. We have a various number of productions that we're growing at the same time. Suppose now it's summer, we grow summer crops. Suppose we put one of our cucurbits, one of our brassicas, one of our vegetables, one of our legumes at the same time, which is our onions, our butternuts, our tomatoes, and our peppers at the same time. When we are harvesting, it helps us even reach out to the market with more to give. The market today, the connection or the relationship is only created if you have more to give them. They don't want farmers whereby they come today, then they stay for a week, they don't have anything to bring to the market, then go again next week and they vanish. So with diversity, with more, you are able to be in the market for a long time, which will help you create a relationship with the markets.
And then how do you market and sell your vegetables?
Yeah, some years before, we did a market survey within Blawayo and also outside Blawayo. And the market survey was successful. We managed to get contacts of so many outlets that are requiring vegetables from farmers. So by so doing, we managed to get in touch with them. These are the guys that we're still supplying even up to date. We started small, supplying them with small things. Now, yes, we don't have much, but we still have the relationship that anytime when we have production, we can actually sell them anything. And also, I'm also part of Zimbabwe Farmers Union, a union which actually is a farmers representative. And that union provides us with information of markets. Suppose you have a production that you cannot sell, or a production that you're looking for a market for, or you need to start a production and you need to start to look for a market before you produce. Zimbabwe Farmers Union has also been helping to get to such markets. And also there are other online applications like Musika. They provide such information on where and how, where, location, quantity, and type of production, and also contact details of the buyer to say, this is the buyer, he requires such amounts of such vegetables. So this is how we are marketing our products.
And how big really is the market for vegetables like here? And are you saying you are able to meet demand of?
I'll speak of what I have intelligence over. Like this region in Matebeleland. Matebeleland, the market, I can say it's growing. Yet the producers, the producers are not meeting the demand. So even me, I cannot safely say I'm meeting the demand of what I've been given to supply by my own buyers. I'm not able to meet the demand. The market is still growing and it is going to grow. So it is very important for farmers to start looking for technologies or looking for other seeds or other techniques that can actually improve yields and also quality so that they meet what is needed by the market. Yes.
Without divulging your marketing secrets, really, I'm also keen to know, like, what's your production like per week? How many maybe bunches of rape do you actually put out on the market? Heads of cabbages?
Okay, I'll speak of something that is there at the moment in time. Those big bunches of chomolia, we can produce over 90 big bunches per week here. Of which, with the current prevailing price, that's close to $200 from that production only per week, which is not bad. That's why the time when I was saying it is good for someone to have a diverse of production, so that you have different incomes from different lines of products.
But then, Professor, you're raising an interesting point there. What informs your decision to actually which crops to grow, given that sometimes you see there's a glut of chomolia in the market, a glut of tomatoes, and you see some of these products will actually go to waste. So is there a informed decision, or do farmers actually speak to each other to say, I'm growing tomatoes, you grow cabbages?
This is a business. And it has to be managed properly like a professional. So this is how we are doing it ourselves. The market itself, we have created relationships since a long time ago. So the market itself, number one, is the one that gives us that intel to say, by this time, be having such a production by this time we have such a production and we'll be buying it at this price. So we get in our production lines knowing what we are producing, how much we are going to sell it for, and it will help us, help us say, is it okay for us to produce or not? Number one. Number two, since we've been producing for some time, the market trends for the past 3 years, there hasn't been a change. You would realize that from this time up to around November, most of productions in the market would be flooding in the market.
Okay.
Is it tomatoes? Is it cabbages? Is it kale? Most of production will be flooded at the market after winter up to around November. After November, within festive season, the production starts to peak because most farmers that would have flooded the market, they wouldn't be having any productions.
Right.
So by knowing all this information, this is how we get to have knowledge on what and when to grow.
Yeah. What kind of challenges do you face as a farmer to growing vegetables?
To be honest, the first challenge, number one, is the issue to do with the cost of production. This is the chief, the master. The cost of production is continuing to rise all the time. So you'd realize that the market itself, the value, it's not going up. It's stagnant or even going down. So we are not really making a lot out of what we are producing. So that is one of the biggest challenges. So the room for growth is small because we are literally getting small. The room for growth is small. And number two, issues to do with capital itself. We cannot access capital for us to be able to produce to our maximum levels. And also climate change, the effects of climate change, negative effects of climate change. If we can safely conclude that farmers can no longer rely on rain-fed agriculture. So there needs to be a lot of money that is channeled to water saving techniques or water harvesting techniques. So climate change is one of the challenges that we are facing.
What tips and advice could actually give, to the young people there who are even thinking or would be interested in going into farming, particularly in horticulture and growing vegetables?
The tips are to those that are already in agriculture. The best fertilizer of your fields is your footprints in your fields. How frequent you are in your fields, that's what's going to tell if your project is going to be successful or not. And another tip for those ones that are yet to start, agriculture is a very interesting business. You can say millionaires in 10 years to come, millionaires are going to come from agricultural sectors. Yeah.
There you are. Horticulture, specifically growing vegetables, is a viable agriculture business. And our guest today was Prosper Chikwara, who was actually telling us about the opportunities and, well, some challenges that are there in growing vegetables. But it is indeed a viable sector and something that many young people could actually go into and make a career out of. This is a second line, and thank you for joining my program, Agriculture on Site. Please tune in for the next episode, where we'll actually be discussing many issues related to farming.